Hey guys, Will here, welcome back to the channel. Now today's video we are going to be taking a more detailed look at the Next Level Racing GTTrack simulator rig. So basically the story is I got my hands on one of these about probably 3, almost 4 months ago now, and did an installation and initial impressions review for you guys. Basically, you know, putting the thing together, showing you how it all goes together and how it's assembled, and then basically giving an overview of my impressions having just assembled it. But we hadn't put any of the actual gear on it yet, so all the FANATEC gear that you see behind me now, the screen and everything wasn't mounted yet. So it was basically just a close look at my initial impressions of the rigidity, you know, the amount of adjustment that was available and things like that. Now, since I did that video, I've got now about 150 hours of use into this thing, so I've been smashing it pretty hard. And so basically in this video, what I'm going to be doing is taking you through, I guess, a full review of the unit now that I've had a chance to play with it a bit more. The things that I love about it, the things that maybe I'm not quite so happy about it, and everything in between as well. So we'll do a quick start off just basically running you through the various little bits and pieces that I've found since using it. And then what I'm actually going to do is actually let you guys watch as I use it in an actual game. So we're going to do a round of F1 2018 here. We'll do a qualifying session so you can see exactly how much movement and, you know, things like that are happening while I'm actually driving. And then we're also going to dive in and do a session in Dirt Rally 2 as well, which I absolutely suck at the moment. I've only spent about 15 minutes playing it, but the reason why I want to do that as well for you guys is because F1 2018, it's all about sort of smoothness and, you know, being gentle with the controls and making sure that you don't spin and things like that. Whereas Dirt Rally 2 is a lot more chaotic. You're really reefing the steering wheel, you know, you're thrashing around on the pedals a lot more, and I think that gives you a bit of a better indication of, you know, exactly how rigid this thing is in the real world. So we'll start off by giving a little overview of the unit itself, and as I've said before, I've spent about 150 hours using this now. And I really, honestly, haven't found anything that I don't like about it yet. Now, I will just quickly mention before we start here that this was a unit that they sent to me for free for the purpose of doing some videos for you guys. So I did the assembly video for you guys already. And so just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, they haven't put words in my mouth or anything like that. I'm always very clear whenever I do receive things for free for the channel that I'm not placed under conditions of what they want me to say or anything like that. If I find something bad, I will let you guys know. Now, to be honest, there's really not a whole lot that I've found that I don't like on this unit, but do just keep in the back of your mind that I did receive this for free while you're watching the video. Now, I will also mention here as well that I do have a link in the description below for you to where you can buy one of these. Now, it's not an affiliate link or anything like that, so I don't get a kickback or anything like that, but it does give you guys a 10% discount if you use the coupon code in the description below. So if you are interested in picking up anything from Next Level Racing, check that link out in the description. That will give you a 10% discount. But anyway, on with the review. So the first thing I want to mention is that it's really nice and easy to get in and out of. So you can just kind of swing your legs around because these cross members are nice and far down here, the support beams. You're not really, you know, you're not having to really sort of get yourself up like into some sort of crazy position to get in and out of it. It is very easy to get in and out of, which is obviously important for people that might be a little bit larger or people that might have some sort of an injury that stops them from being able to curl themselves up into a ball to get in and out of a rig. So that works really well. We've got a massive amount of adjustability by pulling on the rail underneath here. We can move the seat forward, we can move it all the way back as well. Heaps of adjustment there, and I probably should have taken a note of exactly where I had the seat before I moved it, but that's okay. We've also got a massive amount of adjustment available on the wheel platform itself. So not only can it tilt up and down, can also move up and down. Now, obviously, as it moves up and down, it also does move further away or closer to you, but you can compensate for that with the seat position. And you do also have bolts on the side of the seat as well that you can move the seat around. So if it's not moving far enough for you with the rails, then you can actually move the seat physically further forward as well. Now, it's the same deal with the pedal plate as well. There's a huge amount of adjustment that's available there. And one of the things that has really, really impressed me about this is the amount of improvement that they've made in the rigidity of the pedal plate when compared to the FGT that I had previously. You'll notice that it's got these additional bolts which actually go through into the chassis below, and that gives it a lot more rigidity. There's a lot less flex in the pedal, but you'll see exactly how much flex there is once we jump in and start driving. Now, one other thing that I do want to touch on quickly here as well is the seatbelt. Now, the seatbelt has been a bit of a topic of discussion for guys in the comments on the YouTube channel as well as on my Twitch channel as well. I've actually received quite a large amount of ridicule for wearing a seatbelt in a simulator rig, particularly one that doesn't have a motion platform of any sort. Now, there's a very good reason why I have been using the seatbelt and why I'm actually really happy that this rig does have one. And I'll quickly show you now. I'll jump in the rig and put the seatbelt on. And what I want to try and explain here is that when you are driving a car that has a normal seatbelt like you would have in a street car or something like that, you actually tend to use your shoulders a lot more for steering than you would in a proper race car. So when you drive a real race car, you're really bolted into the seat really, really securely. and you can't really move your shoulders much at all. So what happens is when you're steering from your shoulders here in your arms. So you're really using your arms, and you can't sort of lean into the corners at all like that with your shoulders. So the actual mechanical way that you steer the car is quite different from what you would in a street car. Now if you take the seatbelt off, once you start steering, you end up starting to lift your arm and you start to move around a lot more, and you don't really realize that you're doing it until you watch a video back of yourself playing. You realize that you're really not steering as accurately. Now what that means in terms of immersion is that when you're factoring in the amount of feedback that you get from the steering wheel, as well as if you've got a butt kicker like I do underneath the seat as well to give you that vibration feedback, you actually find that you have a lot more sense of what the car is doing underneath you, even just through the feedback that you're getting from the wheel when you're not moving around inside the seat. When you're bolted into the seat, it really does make a big difference, not only to the amount of immersion that you experience, but also the amount of finesse that you can, I guess, input through your steering and pedals and things like that. You really do feel what's going on with the car and its movement and its reaction to your steering input that little bit more, and it really does make a difference. At least that's been my experience anyway. So that's the reason why I wear the seatbelt, and that's why I'm really happy that this rig does have a seatbelt. Now, the seatbelt itself is actually really comfortable. It's nice and thick. It doesn't cut into your shoulders. I've done, 3 or 4 hour sessions straight using this rig now, and I've never had a problem with becoming uncomfortable at all whatsoever. So really, really happy in that regard as well. Now, the last thing that I want to just quickly cover before we get into actually driving is the build quality as well. So I have been really, really impressed. One of the things that I think has probably impressed me the most about this rig is that even though I've put, probably 150 hours into this now, I haven't had to go back and tighten anything. I haven't had anything work its way loose. The pedal plates remain secure. The seat hasn't started to rattle or move or anything like that. The steering is still nice and solid. There's no movement there whatsoever. And, even the butt kicker doesn't rattle anything more than it did when I first installed it as well. So, been really, really impressed with the overall rigidity and construction of this unit. I kind of expected that it would start to loosen itself up after a couple of months and I'd have to go back in and tighten things up again. But to be honest with you guys, up until this point at least, with about 150 hours under my belt now of usage, I have not had a single problem with anything working its way loose. And obviously the last thing you want to have happen is some sort of a mechanical failure while you're in the middle of a race. You don't want to have something falling off or getting loose or anything like that. So I'm very happy to report that I haven't had any issues whatsoever like that with this rig so far. Also really happy with the construction quality and material quality in terms of the seat and things like that as well. I know that that's something that people have criticized Next Level Racing for with some of their previous rigs, like the GT Ultimate, I think was one of the ones that people weren't particularly happy with the construction materials and things like that. And I really feel like they've addressed those concerns now. And moving forward, their newer products really, really do take all of those bits of feedback from the past into account. And one thing that I have noticed is that sometimes the brand does cop a little bit of hate online in some of the groups and things like that because of people that have had experiences, many years ago when it was a brand new company that was just sort of testing the waters for the first time. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that as a brand, they have taken that, that feedback on board, and they have really improved their products moving forward. And a lot of the concerns that I've seen raised in the past in forums and Facebook groups and things like that really have not been concerns of mine when I've been using this rig at all. So really happy in that regard as well. But anyway, let's jump in now and actually do some driving and show you exactly what it's like when I'm driving a Formula 1 car in the game, exactly how much things move around. Now I do just want to quickly note that I am on really soft carpet here. So there's a little bit of movement that you might not experience if you're on a solid floor here. I am using the caster wheels, but you'll notice that when I'm moving around, if you do see any movement, just pay attention to how the seat is moving in relation to the wheel as well, because what's happening is the whole rig is kind of rocking back and forth a little bit and forward and backwards a little bit on the ground itself because of the really soft carpet. You'll notice that because the screen isn't actually mounted to the rig in this case, there is a little bit of movement relative to the screen itself, whereas with the FGT that I reviewed previously, because the screen was actually mounted to the rig itself, you didn't get that perception of movement that you do sometimes with this one, simply because the screen would move in unison with everything else. Obviously, there is an advantage of that in that you're moving in unison. The disadvantage is obviously that you don't have independent control of exactly where you place the screen. You're kind of limited by the amount that you can adjust it on the rig itself, whereas with the GTTrack, that is not an issue. But the amount of movement that I experience when I'm driving really, it's not actually noticeable when you're driving the car at all. You really don't feel it at all. But when you're watching the video, you might see that there's a little bit of movement from side to side and forward and back. Just keep an eye on the seat back and the wheel platform itself. You'll see that they're all kind of moving in unison, so it's really not something that you need to be concerned about, but just something to note quickly there for you now. But anyway, let's get stuck into driving. All right, so get our seatbelt on quickly. And what we're going to be doing today is a qualifying session on Brazil, which is the race that I'm going to be doing this weekend for Octane Online Racing Tier 1. So if you're interested in checking out the race on Sunday, it will be at 8 PM Australian Eastern Time. You can do so. My Twitch stream is above my head for you right now, as well as in the description below. So let's just quickly check that our setup is loaded. Yep, custom setup. We'll do 5 laps of fuel, should be enough. We'll give us a couple of hot laps in case we screw something up. We've got the right tyres here as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a drive out lap simply because I don't want to get stuck behind somebody and spit me out in a bad position on the track if I let the AI do it. So we'll do our normal drive out lap. Crank everything down. I like to leave the pit limiter on for this first corner here simply because it sometimes spits you into the fence and then you get this weird glitch where it takes you out onto the track and then disqualifies you, so play it nice and safe. And we really need to try and get some, warning there for crossing the pit line, we really need to try and get some temperature into the tyres on this track because otherwise you find that your first hot lap is still way off the pace and you end up out braking yourself and all sorts of things. So do our best to get some temperature into the tyres. We really want to be at around sort of 88 degrees if we can. '87. Yeah, that should do. Crank up our fuel, crank up our ERS. Alright, let's go. So I like to stay nice and high on my out lap, just to carry as much speed into turn 1 as possible, and then we cut it much tighter later on. Invalidated. We'll go around again. We've got enough ERS still, so that's fine. Feels so different at 60 Hertz compared to 120. You really don't realise until you go back. We'll stay up nice and high again. Quicker anyway. Alright, 108.3. So about a second off my normal qualifying pace when I'm running at 120 Hertz. So not too bad. But anyway, drive it back into the pits. So you can see there, hopefully, I mean, obviously I can't see what you're seeing as I'm actually doing it, but you can see there that hopefully there's not too much movement. I mean, the seat back moves a little bit, but that's pretty normal for any car seat that has a pivot in it. Obviously, this has got the adjuster in the side, so you can adjust it up and down. If it was a fixed seat, there'd be a little less movement there. But it's about the same as what you'd have in a normal street car, and you really don't notice it. When you really sort of slam on the brakes, like I go like that, you sort of see as I slide my bottom back in the seat, it does jerk a little bit, but it's really not something that you actually notice inside the game. And as far as the pedal flex and things like that is concerned, you actually will have noticed on the clutch pedal, especially if when I slam on the brake pedal, you'll see the clutch pedal tilts forward ever so slightly. But again, it's not enough to notice when you're actually driving, and it's definitely a significant improvement over the FGT. So no problems in that regard at all, but hopefully that's given you a good idea of how it looks in Formula 1 when you're driving with this rig. Now the other thing I should mention as well is that the seating position of this rig compared to the FGT, that was one of the things that I was concerned about with this rig, is that you'd really sort of not want to have it so that you were you know, not sitting in that Formula position so your legs are up nice and high and everything. But what I've found is that when you've got the pedals up a little bit and you've got the seat relatively reclined, you really don't notice the subtle differences. Now the seating position is quite different, but when you're actually driving, you don't really miss having that Formula seating position so much. So I wouldn't say that that not having the Formula seating position is a detraction away from going with the GTTrack over the FGT. I feel like if you can afford the extra money for the GTTrack, it is probably the better choice for most people, regardless of the type of racing you're doing, compared to the FGT. Now that's not to say that the FGT is a bad rig by any means, but the you know, the step up to the GTTrack over the FGT is quite significant, and that's where the extra money really is, I believe. So that's what it looks like in F1 2018. Let's now jump into a much more chaotic game in terms of steering inputs and everything, and have a look at Dirt Rally 2. Okay, so Dirt Rally 2 time. Now this is going to be a lot more chaotic than F1 2018 was, so it should give the rig a pretty decent workout. Now, I'm going to admit right now I absolutely suck at this game. I've only played it for maybe 15, 20 minutes total, but not really the point of this video, so I'm willing to embarrass myself for the sake of demonstrating a point, but we'll see what we can achieve anyway. Come on. We'll get this guy. Understeer. Oh. Stay up the inside. Nah, lost that guy. Braked way too late. Oh.
You're showing consistent pace. Now let's see if we can use the clear track ahead to improve. Try and close up to the car ahead.
Oh.
Once the rest have done their joker, I reckon we'll...
Alright, we've got to do the joker lap this lap. Oh, way overshot it.
Try to follow the car ahead. You need to keep within striking distance.
Oh, understeer. the line in reverse. Go, go, go. Well, that was an unfortunate finish. Oh boy, part of the excitement. But hopefully that gave you a good idea of the amount of movement and that kind of thing that's going on in Dirt Rally 2. And obviously, as I get better and improve my technique, it's not the sort of driving that I'm experienced with at all, as is probably very, very evident with the quality of driving that you've just witnessed. I've not really ever really used a handbrake and a shifter much before in the past, other than sort of the 15 or so minutes. So we'll obviously come back, we'll play a lot more of this game before we do any more videos to not embarrass ourselves anymore. And then once I got a bit more experience and I've improved my technique a lot, we can start to do some Dirt Rally 2 videos as well. But I'm really excited to play this game some more. But hopefully that gave you a good picture of exactly what it looks like in terms of movement in the rig and that sort of thing. Okay guys, so hopefully you've learned something from this video other than the fact that I absolutely suck at Dirt Rally 2, but there's always room for improvement and I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that before doing any more videos or any Twitch streams of that and embarrassing myself absolutely terribly. But look guys, overall I'm very, very impressed with the GTTrack, having used it now for about 150 hours. Haven't found any significant problems, anything like that, that I would even bother putting it into a video, because I'm very, very happy with it overall. In terms of adjustability, there's heaps of scope of adjustment, whether you're a short person, a tall person, a skinny person, or a larger person. It's all good there. There's no problems with flexing or anything like that. Everything is nice and solid and sturdy. And yeah, look, overall, I really honestly can't fault it. So as I mentioned at the start, I do have links to all of the equipment that you've seen in this video, both as affiliate links for all the FANATEC gear, as well as a discount coupon and link to buy your next level racing gear as well. So thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you found it interesting and useful. If you have, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well, so you don't miss the next video. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.